Amid the growing concerns across the globe over the rising number of COVID cases that we are seeing in China, there is latest what we're given to understand that the China's National Health Commission has stopped publishing the daily COVID data on its portal. This, of course, after reports surfaced that there could be approximately 250 million people in China itself who could have been affected by COVID-19 in a matter of just 20 days. So continuously tracking all those updates coming in from China, the visuals there on your screens that show how the hospitals in China have been completely overwhelmed and the health system has collapsed completely in China. The visuals there that testify to the fact that China has failed to tackle the COVID outbreak. It is now seeing the visuals there that show how these hospitals are completely overwhelmed. People have been running pillar to post to get the medical facilities amid the rising surge in COVID-19 cases. We'll try and go across and take a word from Abhishek Kapoor as well, our senior executive editor, to understand what exactly is happening in China. But the latest we are given to understand is that China has stopped publishing the daily COVID cases amid the fresh surge in cases that the country is seeing. In fact, China's National Health Commission, which used to issue the country's COVID-19 case figures on a daily basis starting Sunday, has stopped publishing the update. The move, of course, comes in the backdrop of a report which claimed that nearly 250 million people in China may have been affected by COVID-19 in a matter of just 20 days. This after China, of course, imposed the zero COVID policy, where we saw how there was a brutal crackdown on the people who tried to go to the streets. People were not allowed to venture out of their houses. There was a crackdown of sorts that we were seeing in multiple cities in China. Now, following that, days after those visual surface, what we are seeing right now is a picture which has sent shockwaves and an alarm that has been caused across the globe, because these visuals show how China has failed to tackle the COVID outbreak it is now seeing. In fact, these are the fresh visuals also that we are putting on our screens of this woman who is gasping for breath, and there's not any person who are seeing, no medical attendant to take care of her while she's there gasping for breath. Let's take a look at another visual that we are putting on our screens. This one is another video where you can see people who've funeral homes which are completely overwhelmed. Now remember, this is a picture we are seeing from across China where the funeral homes, the hospitals are completely overwhelmed, which only goes on to prove that how the medical infra in China is in shambles. Let's take a look at other such videos that have surfaced from China, which shows how China has failed to tackle its COVID outbreak. This visual that shows how there are long queues at crematoriums as well for people to be of those who have died as a result of COVID-19. So this yet another picture that shows how these funeral homes are completely overwhelmed. Another such picture visual that surfaced that shows how the funeral homes have run out of capacity. It's completely overwhelmed, and again it testifies how the medical facilities are not enough to tender to those people who have been tested positive for COVID-19. Remember, this of course comes amid reports which state that in a matter of 20 days, over 250 million people in China could have been affected by COVID-19, which has of course created an alarm across the globe. And with this report coming out that in a matter of 20 days, 250 million people could have been affected, China has stopped publishing its daily COVID cases amid the fresh surge of COVID-19 cases it is seeing. Remember, several measures have been announced in India itself to prevent a rise in COVID-19 cases. In fact, direct flights from China have also been suspended for now. We have Suyesha also joining us from the Delhi newsroom. Suyesha, if you could help us understand how is the situation unfolding in China, because the scenes, the visuals that we are putting right now on our screens definitely show that the situation is quite grim in the country.
Oh yes, it is indeed very grim in China, Samiksha, and that is very, very reflective in the kind of videos that are now coming to light. Obviously, the government in China is trying its level best to conceal all this information, to also ensure that the world does not know the reality of the internal crisis that China is battling with at this point. But the pictures are a tell-all story of how hospitals are completely running out. There are no beds. The number of cases and the kind of spike that China is seeing is insurmountable. And even funeral homes are running short, so much so that information that is coming out of how it is taking 15 to 20 days of a waiting period for a body to really put to its last rites. So the situation indeed very grim in China, and which is why we also see how this report has been leaked of the fact that the Xi Jinping government is not putting out the real numbers. In just 20 days, from the 1st of December to the 20th of December, they say that there has been a huge spike of more than 37 million cases in China. And of course, we see how people are not being able to get treatment in hospitals because they are completely saturated, so much so that the video of that one girl who was gasping for breath on the streets, and she could not be taken because there was no medical arrangement available for her until she finally lost her life. Unfortunate that this is happening, but COVID-19 that is completely taken by China, especially after they due to the zero COVID policy, the lockdown that they had imposed, they had to ease that because of the kind of protests that were staged all across China. But it has gotten from bad to worse, and now it is to an extent where they're just not being able to deal with it because medical equipment, hospitals, funeral homes, all in a complete shortage in China. And this is obviously causing a lot of deaths, a spike in cases, but the government obviously ensuring that they conceal all this information.
All right, Suyesha, thank you for the moment. Suyesha there giving us the broader perspective on the situation that is unfolding in China. This, of course, after reports surfaced of how there could be 250 million people who could have been affected in China in a matter of just 20 days. All right, so these visuals also which show how the country has been battling with the COVID surge. The visuals that we'll also put on our screens of how these hospitals are completely overwhelmed. In fact, people are running pillar to post to get that basic health treatment.